You say that characterization is like accurate, or what was it like the mentality that it took going into SEAL training, and then also like that same mentality going into the situations that you faced as a SEAL?
No, for sure. I think people definitely think like that. This I don't know if it still happens, but when I went through BUD/S, we're getting ready to start. And so when you're in the Navy, you have a certain uniform. When you're in like special operations, you get to start wearing camouflage. Like nobody wore camouflage in the Navy back in the day. That was strictly very small number of people. So like you knew like once you were done with this, you're going to switch this other uniform. And so we'd have these like barbecues to get ready to go. And we burned our uniforms. We're like, I'm not going back. I'm going to have to like buy a whole new set of uniforms because I just burned all of them. Like I can only go forward. And so I think what was helpful for me was you just set up and like, that's it. We're going forward. Yeah. It's funny you talk about, I'm just going to die. I remember towards the end, the very last day of Hell Week, we were running back from somewhere. I'm sure it wasn't very far, but in my mind, we were running back from, Guadalajara or something, back to Coronado. And as we're running, we have the boats on our head and I'm in so much pain that I'm like, I'm going to die. If we don't stop, I'm just going to fall over dead. And I remember thinking like, okay, I guess that's the thing that's going to be. And we ended up finishing, and that was the end of Hell Week. But I remember the very last hour being like, well, I guess I don't know if I can do this much further. I don't know if I can keep moving. And I was like, I guess that's it. I guess this is where we're going to finish around the sand in Coronado. And luckily we finished. But I do remember having that thought of like, I guess that's what we got to do. Yeah. But I have had many, many friends go, I just figured I would, die trying. But I think you just have to really make it the most important thing to you to be successful. And I'm sure that's how it is for most things.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like every SEAL like has like their own different like kind of motivation that gets them to that point of like, I am ready to risk death to make this work to achieve this goal? Or do you feel like there's kind of a common, like a shared set of goals or a couple of goals that would come to mind in terms of motivating someone to look death in the face like that?
I think both. I think also, you get really tight with these folks.
Yeah.
You don't want to let them down. Yeah. And mostly you don't want to be last. Right. So you want to be in the middle or up front. And so you don't want to let everyone else down, but mostly you don't want to be in the back.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the last person. You get extra attention. And so that fuels a lot. It sounds silly, but that's very real. Like I don't look at those guys. They're getting thrashed back there.
Yeah.
I'm pointing behind me. You can't see, but it's really just to be part of this group. And then you become best friends with these guys. Right. Yeah. So the way I describe the SEAL teams is everyone did some type of sports or a club or something, and you got to go on a trip. And your favorite part as a kid was like, we're going to go on the bus. We're going to be gone all day. We're going to get lunch. We're going to hang out. And we're just going to be there. And we're going to do this thing the whole time. And then you get back. Well, that's how I felt like on the SEAL teams, except you get to do it forever. You're traveling, going on these trips, going to do these great adventures with your best friends all the time. And so when you're done, it can be jarring for sure. Yeah. And so I think that's what a lot of people experience when they transition. It doesn't have to be out of SEAL teams, out of the service, that you're like, whoa, what happened? I was on this cool team. We were doing all this stuff, and now I'm not.
I'm curious, like, and I'm going to move towards the topic of mental health and PTSD in a minute, but because I think that deserves some attention. But I am curious about it seems like the last 10 years or so, roughly, there's been a number of former Navy SEALs, David Goggins, Jocko Willink, is that how you say his last name? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there's a couple others. The gentleman who claims to have killed Osama bin Laden, I can't remember, I think it's Eric. But anyways, he wrote a book. But a number of former Navy SEALs who have sort of adopted almost, whether they intended to or not, have almost become like celebrity folklore in like American society.
Sure.
And it seems like the SEALs that I've heard from have sort of mixed feelings about that. On the one hand, it's like, these guys are doing some seemingly great work. They're like pushing people to be their best selves. They're encouraging people to get out of bed in the morning, make their bed, like all the great principles that make someone successful, strong, and focused. On the other hand, there seems to be this sense I get from some SEALs, in just the interviews I've seen, and also from talking to friends like that, these guys they're kind of sort of breaking the code, or they're not really, like, SEALs aren't really supposed to talk about this kind of stuff. They're not supposed to open up in that way. Like, do you kind of see both sides of it, or where do you like kind of stand on these, like sort of the Navy SEAL becoming this like mythical like celebrity in American culture, I guess? It's
tough, right? Because we're supposed to be silent warriors, silent professionals. Yeah. So it is tough to, to see the rise of all that stuff. I mean, right after very famous raids, there's books out already. So that is challenging for sure, because you want to be able to still be that person. You want to be able to blend in society. So it's very challenging for sure. Yeah. But also, I mean, those people served also. They deserve to do whatever they want. I mean, they earned their right to be SEALs, whether you like them or not, whether you like what they're doing or not. Sure. So it just depends. I think they both have benefits. Yeah. That brings a lot more attention. Like when I came in, there was I couldn't even Google how to become a Navy SEAL. Nobody knew how to do it. The recruiters didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
You just kind of get in and kind of figure it out. Now you can find all kinds of information out there. There's tons of books that the Navy actually produces documents about how to train and get ready. So I think all that is good. And all of that, frankly, has come from all the stuff that people don't like, which is a lot of bad publicity.